Now, I'm sure that all the disciples at this point were shaking their head in bewilderment. Because this was not the traditional Passover liturgy. This is not what normally is said during this meal. Jesus took it upon himself to really to drive the point home and what was about to happen. But he wanted to leave them with words of encouragement. He wanted them to really understand that yes, he would be leaving them, but yes, he would always be with them. And that brings us to the here and now, today, for you and me. Just as Jesus did with his disciples back then, he offers that to you today. He offers you the words of encouragement that despite that he did die on the cross for us, so that we can live, that means he is always with us. We are not alone. But sometimes we forget that. Sometimes I forget that. And that is one of the big reasons why we celebrate Holy Communion. Our chance to remember. In some of the Gospels, after he gave thanks to the bread, gave thanks to the bread and thanks for the wine, he said, "For as often as you do this in remembrance of me." Strong words. Do this in remembrance of me. And I think about all the times that I've taken communion. And I was numb to that. I just went through the motions. I come up, I take a piece of bread, and I either have the little cup or I dip the bread in the cup, and I take it. And I forget those important words. Do this in remembrance of me. I just do it. I've always done it. But that's not what he was telling his disciples that night. He was saying, as you take the bread and the cup, every time, not just some of the time, do this in remembrance of me. Sometimes we tend to forget that. I tend to forget that. Communion is that opportunity for us to remember and to take it in. The opportunity for us to take and to partake of the body and the blood of Christ as represented by the bread and in our church the juice. It's our opportunity to become closer with Jesus. There are times in my life, and I'm sure they have been in yours, where I've taken communion and it's meant the world to me. And then there have been times where I would be distracted, or I'd be thinking about something else, and it would absolutely have no meaning for me other than taking a piece of bread and taking the juice. But this is an opportunity for us as Christians. I know we normally do it the first of the month, and I caught everybody by surprise today because I want us to really think about what communion means to you. What does taking of the bread and taking of the cup mean to you? Does it have any meaning whatsoever? Or does it have all the meaning of our existence? It's something to think about. Something to think about. And I was thinking about What it would have been like if I was one of the 12 disciples that night when Jesus shocked his disciples and changed the word of the ancient liturgy to the words we know today. Would I be in shock? Would I be in amazement? Or would I say, well, that's not the way it's supposed to be done? That's probably me. What does communion mean to you? For me, it's an opportunity of renewal, of confessing my sins, knowing that I'm a human being and I'm at fault. 24 years and 11 months later, I am a person of fault. I'm a person of sin. But by taking the cup and the bread, Jesus forgives all that. He forgives all of my sins. I'm the one who keeps bringing them back up. He died on the cross for us, for all our sins. This is our remembrance of that mighty act he did. This morning we're going to take communion. And I want you to think about, as you're taking communion, what's it mean to you in your heart? Is it just an act? Or is it a true reminder of that night with the disciples in the upper room when he poured out his heart, his blood for us? What does communion mean to you? Let's turn to page 12 in our hymnals.